Hello, everybody, and welcome to Grandpa Brian and Lucky Stone talk about all kinds of crazy stuff. Tonight's show about let's see. Stop trying to heal toxic people. It's time to heal what draws you to their toxicity. So the idea is that our job is not to heal the toxic people. Our job is to go out and try to figure out why we go out and try to heal the toxic people, and more importantly, why toxic people are drawn to us. And then with that, why do we need to heal them? Um, but we talked a little bit about your weekend. Oh, Truth Wave. Thank you, Truth Wave. Thank you, Victor, for coming. And you grab Brian, you're here. Um, so you were talking a little bit about your week, about around the cabin. So how's it been?
Oh, I mean, in the past 3 weekends, I cut down, I don't know, about 16 trees. Uh, I'm, I kind of didn't do a garden last year because I had to put it at the top of the hill because it's just north of the barn. There's only a spot of it that was getting 8 hours of sun. The rest of it was only getting 6 hours of sun. So
Oh boy.
instead of transporting everything way up to the top of the hill, I decided to cut those small row of trees right there, cut them down, so that way I'll have at least 8 to 9 hours in the summertime of sunlight there. So plan on putting another garden in because you just never know what's going to happen.
True. You're right. You're right. And having your own food, at least be able to grow your own food, is an asset. It could be time. It could be tough at times. Challenging to grow your own food, but it's worth it in the end.
Yeah. Uh, I'm planning on, I think, like 60 by 40. So that's
Mm,
about 2,400 square feet.
that's nice.
Yeah. Should be able to grow a lot of stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Other
You
than that,
plan on like
just keep
what?
them busy.
Yeah, yeah. I can hear you there. It's this time of year is kind of crazy. Between it's the end of the year and things are kicking up, and then summer's coming, and yeah, it's always a weird time of year. I think
Yeah.
for everyone.
Yeah. Well,
And
the family farm, it's 81 acres.
81. Wow.
So to take care, and I'm only down here on the weekends,
Yep.
it's just a lot of work on the week every weekend. And
Hmm.
then here in about 3 weekends, it'll be hour and a half to hour and 45 minutes of cutting grass every day. So I try to get down here early enough on Fridays where I can get that done and out of the way so I can do other things I need to do around here on Saturdays.
Interesting. Yeah. 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 Oof. I
But
don't have
it's all worth it to have 40 hours of no human contact,
I can
physical
hear that.
contact.
Yeah. 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 I understand that. Yeah.
And
It's a good break.
yeah, and I don't know if you can hear the background noise, but I got all kinds of tree frogs and frogs
Yep.
around the lake just riveting.
Yep.
Uh, right before I went backstage, I heard a hoot owl. So
Oh, interesting.
yeah, I had one up in the pine tree last night. I heard him hooting when I was on the show.
Yep. 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 Yeah, definitely, if you're gonna have a garden, it's good to have an owl around. Definitely, that'll keep them away.
Uh, yeah, they'll eat a small rabbit a
Yeah,
day. I think is about what their quota is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And the rabbits, so 'cause they do eat the squirrel. Yeah, that's the problem. Depending on the size of the owl, yeah, a small rabbit, and no, what you really need is like a red-tailed hawk. But a red-tailed hawk and an owl don't get along. But maybe,
Uh,
yeah, maybe the owl do the night and the hawk will during the day. Should be fine. Yeah, maybe.
yeah, we have red-tailed hawks down here. Matter of fact, years ago, when my nieces and nephews were young, they left one of the screen doors open. I come walking out of the cabin, and there's a baby hawk,
Yep,
uh, probably about that tall,
yep, yep.
trapped on the porch. Well, I didn't have gloves. I
Hmm.
slowly worked my way around the table, and I just grabbed it, walked to the door, and released it.
Yep.
And then I do believe that same hawk came back and visited me that fall when I was hunting out in the woods.
Yeah, those raptors, they're pretty intelligent, that's for sure.
Yeah. I've also seen a bald eagle down here, not on the property, but in one of the cornfields. Just
Oh,
and then a golden eagle. Have you ever seen a golden eagle? They make a bald eagle look like a sparrow.
yeah, they're tiny. They're huge. Yeah, they make bald eagles look tiny. They're absolutely enormous. Yeah, I've seen one once, and it was enormous. It was one of those things where is that a firebird sort of thing? The ancient native, thunderbirds. It's so huge, but
Yeah.
they're more brown than black. So it's like, okay, no, it's a big eagle.
I'll send you a video. When I was coming in from town, there was a golden eagle on the road and it had about a 20-pound raccoon,
Wow.
and thing was humongous. And then I actually seen it one other time sitting in a tree right up at the top of the drive. They're
Mm,
huge, beautiful,
yes.
big, beautiful birds.
Yeah. We don't have anything. The biggest thing we have is the turkey vultures,
Yep,
and the crows and them don't get along sometimes. But besides that,
yep. And this is the fifth year in a row. Got a pond behind me. There is a blue herring
oh
that
yes,
nest on the back side of the pond.
yep.
So I get to see her quite a few times.
We used to have one of those. Used to nest right next to our house, and they're very very skittish. But this one, maybe it was just because he knew our family or just trusted us, or I'm not sure. But it just kind of watched us, but still stayed around. So I guess
Yeah,
maybe for the most part that we didn't cause it any trouble, and it figures that we're safer near our house because my where I grew up was on a river which had a huge bend on it, and we were in a dead spot with a lot of grass and stuff, and that's where she used to nest. But for the most part, yeah, we had geese because my mother used to. I don't know why she'd raise ducks, chickens for the eggs and for the meat, but the ducks they were for entertainment purposes only, and those ducks would leave and come back with all kinds of stuff. One day it came back with someone's goose. We'd have no idea whose goose it was, but the ducks left and came back with a white goose. And it might have been a goose that got, because we had seen a goose with some um, Canada geese, but then the Canada geese left, and of course she can't fly because she's domestic. So maybe she just never went home, and then our ducks went and got her. I don't know, but yeah, living on the river was a weird thing. We had strange things. But back to our subject at hand, the toxic people and why do we need it? Why do we find our needs to heal them? And is it time for us to figure out in ourselves what draws the toxic people? I mean, I think that a lot of us have that problem that we draw toxic people into our lives. Do you draw toxic people into your life?
uh, I was thinking about that earlier. It could be your energy
Hmm.
that they see or feel that draws them to you, or could it be their higher self asking your higher self for your help to help them heal? So you're kind of led by your higher self or your guide to help heal this person.
Yes, and I think that's kind of the trick in it. Is it one? Is it their higher self and our higher self talking, saying, "Hey, maybe we can help them," and maybe there's some kind of a quid pro quo situation there. On the other hand, is there something in our lives that we need to address that these toxic people, not them, the toxicity, but maybe something about them that matches up something that we need to address in ourselves? It might not be toxic, but again, it might be something that we need to address. Maybe something from the past, because we have lives and we come in, the 3D life, you coming in and out of constant things, and things keep coming up that maybe we didn't quite address effectively, efficiently in the past, and then people are brought into our lives to help us heal that. But yeah, then that kind of goes with it. That maybe you're not going about healing them as much as helping them find a way to heal themselves. And will that healing ourselves? So we don't push toxic people away because that's just rude. On the other hand, we don't allow them to drag us down. So it's kind of like fishing, I guess. We, you can't you can't pull it too tight, and you can't, bring the baggage in. You got to help them, along their way, but back and forth.
Yeah. I'll only help someone for so long if they're not willing to help themselves heal. Then you're basically just spinning your wheels, and it is toxic because you're putting all this effort into it, and they're not even trying.
Yeah, in last week you brought up the thing about people come to us and offer praise, the praise, but the praise doesn't feel right. Um, but maybe it's them coming to you, offering you the praise that they're missing in their life, that somehow they want that maybe by praising you, they think I am some of that award, the praise that they're awarding you is actually awarding themselves, or what kind of good person am I offering praise? But again, if they need that praise in their life, then they're missing something, and that's something that need to address. But it's not our job to help. Our job is to help them if they're willing to see it. But if they're not willing to see it, then our job is kind of almost done at that point. It's a
Right,
tough call. It's a tough call.
right, and you have to use discernment when working with these people because someone can be toxic but not negative, and then
Mm,
you have somebody that is toxic and negative, and they're basically feeding off of your good energy. Kind of understand what I'm saying about that?
yeah, yeah. Well, our energy is a magnet for a lot of people. That is a truth. I wouldn't call
Right.
them all energy vampires, but I believe there are a lot of people who come to us and they're at least some part of it just coming to absorb some positive energy. That's one of the things is that we draw a lot of people in our lives, and they also one of the problems of drawing negative people into our lives is them unintentionally dragging us down and us unintentionally allowing them to drag us down. So we have to catch ourselves when we feel ourselves being dragged down in a negative way.
Yeah, that's why, like, if you start working with somebody and you really don't know them, it's really good to protect yourself.
Always.
Uh, Up at all my relations, they have an emotional healing class.
Hmm.
And so, one thing that I found out, and it was a hard lesson, uh, when they're releasing these emotions, uh, especially if you're doing it hands on, that energy can attach to you. And I learned firsthand that after this person was done, Jim asked me to keep doing Reiki on him, and I was like, sure, I'll do that. And was doing, man, next thing I know, I started hurting, like, shoulder, arm, just, and had to go outside and get in the ground and release it and get myself grounded and get rid of it because it was just. So you really got to be careful, when you're doing helping someone heal, especially if it's emotional heal, because that energy could come back at you because it is energy.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, yes. And it's who energy work is tricky in itself. But yeah, the first and most primary thing is self protection. And it's It's easy to do, and there are so many different ways of doing it. Grounding is always the best. Calling your guides, um, and then I like to call it Mother Earth. Ground right away. And call to Source, Father Sky. Call them individually and together. Helping me because you don't know what kind of energy you're going to need to deal with these people, or I'm not deal, help these people. I'm using inappropriate words, but it is a little bit of a numbers game of trying to get the right energies to. For one, you don't want them to deplete your energy, but Source and Mother Gaia have all the energy you ever would need. Just got to learn to use their energy to help you offset to give them. Yeah. Hello, Chloe. Thank you for coming, Chloe. And hello, Suge949. Suge, thank you so much for coming, all. And Victor, thank you for coming. It is interesting. There was something. There's a guy called oh, I get it backwards all the time. His name is Timber Hawkeye. He writes this book called The Buddhist Boot Camp. He basically was in marketing and everything, making good money, and then one day he just says, "I don't feel fulfilled." And he went to Buddhism and started to, and then his books, Buddhist Boot Camp, all the money that he gets from it, he just gives away. It's just basically he lives very simply. In the books, if you order his, this is crazy. If you order his autographed books, because he's got four of them, yeah, he's got four different books. If you order autograph, it's extra money. He gives a copy to I think two copies like to the prisons, and then the offset money he helps the families. He's always giving money away. So he's one of the people who lives his preach. What he preaches, he lives. And one of them is one of the attendees to we had a discussion, a circle, and one of the attendees says, "I appreciate everything you shared, but I'm curious if you have any tips about what to do when the people in your life are hurting themselves and it starts to hurt you to watch them." She says she even attempted to cut them out of her life because the pain was too much for her. She didn't realize that by hurting herself is by absorbing other people's pain. She has made fixing others part of her identity and actively but subconsciously pursuing people to help. And then he basically came back with, one of my teachers once told me the following sentence: "You cannot save people, you can only love them." And that's huge, which we're not here to save people, but basically all we can do is offer them love and help them to find their own way. And that's the trick, is not everyone can be saved, but everyone can be loved.
So, are you kind of saying that healing and saving are the same thing?
I'm thinking that loving is being more of a passive thing where you're offering them love and support, but healing them takes their, because they can't heal unless they're ready for it, unless they're ready to work on themselves. So offering them love and support and being there is the first step. Because again, you can't heal people who are hurting themselves. You That's the problem. It's like it's a hole. People who are hurting themselves are a whole, and you keep throwing in healing energy, healing after healing. It might sit in, maybe it's maybe more point. It's like a pond where it'll float on the top for a while, but it'll sink eventually, and all your efforts is gone. But offering them support and love and being there as a sounding board, but not absorb. That's a trick. Is offering them support but not absorbing their energy. So you there it goes.
Observe.
You observe their energy, but do not absorb their energy. And you have to keep reminding yourself of that little tactic, which is constant, where the problem is that you become that you feel for these people. You feel they're so close to you, you love them. your compassion for them, and you see there's an easy path solution. But again, they are constantly not ready to be healed yet, and it's unfortunately it's a waste of your time, but you can still be there. So there's a balance there, and it's of course you can't be there. There's a point where you're offering so much support for so long that they're just not doing it. They're wasting time. So the biggest support, the most love, compassion could do is to cut ties with them and let them on their own for a while till they realize, because that might you might be holding them up because again, like they're treading water. They're just continuing. They're not learning to swim. You because you keep holding them up. So eventually you have to let them go so they learn to swim for themselves. And it's hard. It's a hard decision to make.
Yes, it is because, like you said, you're doing it out of love, and I'm not like talking romantic love. It's just a love for humanity, and you know, it's hard to let people go that you love and you want to help, but sometimes that is the best thing for them.
Yes, that's a tough decision to make. And sometimes you can just pull back by offering them love, but offering them less support, so they learn to support themselves. One of those, teach a man to fish sort of situations where they're not learning, and the only way they're going to learn is to learn it themselves. But again, they won't learn themselves if you're always there to bring them up, to support them, to come with the solution, to come with the answers. Um, something that that's one of my problems is I'm always the answer man at my job. I always have all because if I don't know it, I'm going to find out, and I'm realizing that's leading me to take on too much responsibility and taking away the ability of other people. Because if I'm not showing them how to do it, then they're going to keep coming to me. And if I show them, and again they're not doing it, they're just coming to me because I'll just do it faster. No, this is not going to work out. They have to learn because for their for their own benefit, because I cannot be there all the time. My job is required that I'm more than one place. Also, I have to go on vacation once in a while. But it becomes to be a big problem in my life that I have all the answers and that's expected from me. And I'm like, wait, why am me doing 110% expected for the job? And that's when I realized, and I talked to another one of my manager from the department about the issue, and he said, "Yeah, sometimes you got to do 80, 70, 80% because they're just going to keep demanding 120%, and that's not physically possible. And doing 100% of the time is tough, but doing extra, it's not. You got to learn to tell people this isn't my job, and this is your job, and and that's it's good to have a manager from another department who isn't involved, who's completely unbiased, and they can tell you the truth. While your own manager, they see you as an opportunity that they want you to work over because less work for them. And
Hmm.
that's one of the things I realized that my own manager is probably my biggest problem right now. Who a couple of years ago was a coworker, a close coworker that used to rely on me a lot, and now he's now my boss, and I'm realizing, wait, this doesn't make any sense. And he's still relying on me to do the manager work, which is things that I'm not supposed to be doing. And I'm like, wait. So that's my wife tells me, well, maybe you just gotta play dumb. Oh, you forget how to do this, because it's the only way. Saying I'm not going to do it is not the way. Saying I forget how to do it, I'm not sure how to do it, I don't have the path, I don't have the right tools right now. That's that's a better option, and it is the right. I mean, fortunately, it's lying, but again, it's the only way, 'cause to say I'm not gonna do it will just get me into trouble. But just saying I don't have our tools, well, that goes on them to figure out what the tools are.
Hmm.
But life is a balancing act, so
Well, it is all about balance. I mean, like yesterday was the equinox, and I always tell people the two equinoxes I look as it's equal day, equal night. That's balance. So, what do you need to balance in your life at this time? Going to could be work, could be home, could be anything. Just something that will bring more balance to your life.
Yeah, balance is crucial, but sometimes we're too close to it, and we need to step back and realize, wait, am I overextending myself? Am I letting myself do too much? Am I out of balance? And that's something we need to do each day, which is something I gotta learn to do every day before going to sleep. Say, okay, what have I done today, and where did I push too far, and where how can I prevent it from happening tomorrow? And it's not being selfish; it's just being self-sufficient, and you got to support your own self because if you don't support yourself, who's going to support you?
Yeah, yeah.
I I think a lot of us light workers have that problem where we're the support for everyone, and we keep going further and further, and just basically pushing ourselves further and further out, and we need to stop and realize, wait, I need to take time for me for a little while. Uh, it's not being selfish; it's just simply the truth.
That's why I'm glad we have the family farm because I have a getaway every weekend to where I basically don't have physical human contact for 40 hours, which is nice because it's just relaxing. Uh, you definitely get to clear your mind when you don't have the hustle and bustle of everyday life and you're able to just step back and just be by yourself. And
Yeah,
that's why I I have one of the greatest relationships is with myself. I mean, I spend a lot of time by myself, which I'm fine with.
I think that's huge. That learning. I mean, a lot of us just don't. excuse me. A lot of us just don't do that. Is take time with ourselves. I think some people are afraid of that. So the most important thing is that you have to learn to take time for yourself and to treat yourself in the right way and to listen to yourself. Listen to the inner voices because they'll give you everything you ever need. But few people are especially with people like us around where we have the support, we have the ideas, and we have the advice that they a lot of the advice we get to them is basically from their higher self talking to our higher self and coming through us. But it can be tough where people just don't listen to their own selves, listen to their own higher selves, and they don't take time to listen. And that's what meditation is for. It's what taking, meditation in any form, which is walking meditation. You can meditation while washing the dishes. You can meditate while doing the gardening. You can meditate while, just sitting. I don't, not watching TV, not reading, but you want to sit in a basically quiet, which is one of the problems. Meditation requires not listen to music, not listen to podcasts. While doing work around, you can meditate, which is sometimes at work, which I'll just turn everything off. I'll be doing my work, and that's when I'll get more insights. Okay, wait a second, I'm not seeing the whole picture, and it gives me more insights and helps me be more efficient at my work. But working nights does get kind of lonely, and sometimes I turn on the podcast to listen to someone talking to me, someone nearby, um, and I can do mindless work, but then some work that requires effort, extra effort. Turn everything off, focus on the job at hand, and get it done faster and efficiently. But again, there's a balance that we're listening to our inner voice, which not everyone has, but I don't understand that. I can't comprehend not having the constant mind chatter, which meditation doesn't make that go away. It just makes you more observant of it. Well, again, absorb. No, observe, but don't absorb. That's the thing. The mind chatter, you observe it, but you don't absorb it all. Especially the ego. The ego will come back with stuff and insult you and tell you how you could do better. And it's not you to prevent it from happening. It's you, the words are there, but they don't affect me, and that can be tough. But as long as you can handle your own ego, you can handle other people and their whenever they're disappointed in you when there's no basis for their disappointment.
Yeah. One night at group, we were talking. They started a conversation. What would your meditation room be like?
Mm.
And people were talking about what their meditation room would be like. And they got around to me and they were like, "Well, what would yours be like?" I was like, "There wouldn't be nothing in it. There would not be one thing in it." And that means when you walk into my room, that signifies you do not bring any baggage in when you go to meditate. So if there's no material, anything, no distractions, and you leave everything out the door, you're going to have a proper meditation.
Yes, that is ideal. That's mm,
And if you can somehow get a dirt floor, I mean, then now you're actually grounding as you're meditating with no other material around you and no baggage.
that's interesting. That is interesting.
One of the greatest meditations I ever had was float. I put on a life jacket and was floating out in the lake underneath the full moon.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, back about 30 years ago, my friend had a cabin on basically it's an in basically inland bay from from the ocean. It takes a lot to from the ocean to get up this way, but it's a saltwater area. And we used to, I mean, so often we'd float at night because literally his cabin wasn't on the water. There was a few cabins, so he had to go, side street, and the side street had called Little Beach, and sometimes no one was there. I mean, that's the funny. That was the weird part. It was sometimes would no one would come for a weekend. Maybe it was early summer or something like that. But we're floating in the water, just watching, and one of the harbor masters comes running, running over, thinking there's dead bodies over there. No, 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 no. We're just floating, watching the stars. He said, "Well, next time, call me about it because basically my friend had a all season cabin, and a lot of the ones around there were just summer cabins."
Mm-hmm.
So we knew the harbor master. He basically the harbor master. How he saw us, I have not a concept. Um, Maybe he was watching because there was open water. There's an island, and then over here there was a over here there was a boat tie up, a bunch of old some yachts, some smaller boats. So he may have been watching them, and then saw through them, saw two bodies floating on little bay, and freaked out and came send us one of his trucks, because he didn't take the boat over. He took a um, it was a modified golf cart, but it went really fast.
Huh. That's interesting.
But again, funny thing, this was 30 years ago. No, it wasn't a golf cart. I think it was a 4x4. It was like one of those ATVs 4x4s, but it had the whole. I didn't think they made them with the covers anymore. It doesn't matter. Again, the things we used to do out there. I mean, I had one where um, I parked because we used to kayak from that little beach, and I would drive my truck out there and bring his kayak because again he was probably about maybe half a mile, but bringing his kayak and my kayak, and then I parked my little truck and we carry it off to the water and everything. We come back and there was some kid yelling at us and you can't park here, blah blah blah, yelling at us. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm going to move it now. But I you're going to move it now. I'm like, yeah, we're going to put our kayaks in. No, you're going to move it now. Which my friend stopped and said, "What's your name?" And he gave his name, and my friend says, "Okay, dial the phone." Because we had a cell. This has been he's an attorney, so he had a cell phone. This was 30 years ago, so he had a cell phone, and he called the harbor master and says, "Yeah, this guy's bothering." And everything was Jim. Jim's picking on us. At which point he says, "Can you put it on speaker?" And he puts it on speaker. Says, "Jim, leave these guys alone. You have no right even to be here right now." And then he asks, "Is Jim drunk?" And and my friend's like, "Yeah, I think he's a little tipsy right now." So he was basically just power. He was basically the summer intern for the harbor master, trying to push his power around. And of course my friend, part of the thing is that road everyone owns. You can park there all you want, but some people like to be power, and I'm not about to argue. I'm like, sure, we'll move it. You know, put my kayaks and we'll go.
Uh,
But
so
again,
have
yeah,
yeah,
people are people.
have you ever healed somebody knowing going in that they were a toxic person?
Yeah, yeah. I have a few. Yes, uh, friend of mine's girlfriend's friend. They knew that I'm. You know, this is back the bar days where I would go to a bar every Sunday night, and this is when I think it was a Saturday night. Yep, this was a Saturday night. We were meeting at someone's apartment, and they knew I used to read cards and everything, and uh, I read her cards and ended up putting her in tears. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry, She says, but you pulled so much out of it. And then that's when she asked, "Can you help me?" 'Cause, so I talked her through it, everything, and um, gave her insights of what she can do. Because I knew basically when you do readings, it's a roadmap. Basically, I'm giving her an idea
Hmm.
what's her future's like and how she can prevent it. And then not a month later, I basically let me go back up. I sat with her, quiet. We were sitting in a room, kind of questionable, but me and a woman sitting, I'm talking her through it, letting her express herself and let her join with her higher self, and you know come to terms with the inner child, that kind of things. Trying to find the solution to why she kept putting herself in these bad relationships. And then a month later, she comes to me again and said, "Oh, everything's great, everything's great." And then not 2 more weeks after that, she says, "Can we meet again? Can we talk?" And she was back in the same thing because she was after 1 month, she thought she found the right guy. But again, she just brings these kind of people into her life. And honestly, the guy was no surprise. I mean, you just by meeting him for 1 minute, I knew this guy was bad news because after the fact, we kind of met in a big group, and I met the guy, and I'm like, and she didn't know he was kind of creepy and kind of a, kind of a, was it? He was the kind of guy who you know, would like to impress people with his money, and then when it came to paying the bill, would, oh, I forgot my wallet, that kind of thing. And she was, and then she ended up paying for herself, kind of helping out. But he always knew he drove a BMW, but it was an old BMW, and I don't know if you know what BMWs, but they're very expensive to fix. And so that's he bought the BMW used with the idea that I'm driving a BMW. But when it came to get it fixed, he was in debt to credit cards and to shops, and eventually one of the shops ended up um, repossessing his car. I don't know how they did that, or no, um, I know he brought it in to get it fixed by another shop, and that shop knew, because for some reason they all knew each other. We couldn't get parts, and they go, "Yeah, that guy owes me money." And at which point, the guy who he owed money to, they got together and they impounded the car, which I'm surprised is legal. But until he paid the bills, he couldn't get his car back. But again, this was the kind of guys that she was dating. I had no idea that this guy was this kind of guy he was. But she kept coming to me, and then even after that, she broke up with him, on and on, and she says, "Help me through it again. Help me. You know, do the right thing." And I'm like, "You got to help yourself. This is one of those things. Is this in you? Something that I can't bring out. I can only help you face what's inside of you. But there's deeper on there. There's deeper layers in there that are probably far beyond my experience, and you probably need deep." Which I told her, which she didn't like. I said, "You need a psychiatrist to deal with this kind of thing," because there was so much she needed a lot of therapy, and not some crazy psychic guy who read cards was not the right thing. But yeah, that's what I did once. Actually, that was one of many, but that was the worst one, I think.
Yeah. So, would you say that you actually seen the good inside of them, and that's why you were wanting to help, even though you knew they were toxic? Why you were wanting to help heal them is because you actually seen the good inside of them.
Yes, it was one of those things where I saw what kind of great things she did with people, but she was one of those people where she would help everyone, would sacrifice herself, would put herself out. Like I mean, the boyfriend where she was actually giving him money. Wow, because he was, kind of guy who was just a high roller and by drove a BMW. And when it came time, for some reason, she believed that this was a temporary thing. But she kept allowing him to borrow money, or I mean, it was crazy. But yeah, she was a good person, but had a lot. Basically, I think she fed off helping others by hurting herself. It was a weird situation. It was a really weird situation. So yeah, I saw the good in her, but also I also might have been, put on rose-colored glasses with her because her friends always pushed her up so much, said that she's such a great person. I don't know why she gets into these bad relationships. I feel so bad for her. It's so sad that she can never find the right guy. But I think she could find the right guy. She just chose the wrong ones. And it's
Mm-hmm.
one of the things where finally that's the last time that I was consulted with her or counseled her, where I said to her flat out, there are great guys out there. You're choosing the wrong ones. You need to stop, date nobody for a year, and just learn what is drawing you to these bad guys, these bad boys. And of course, she says, I'm not drawn to bad boys. And I just started naming names because, again, friends of friends gave the stories, and I knew all of her stories. And she was a great, sweet, nice, beautiful person. It's just she always chose the wrong kind of guys. And then there was a time when, after the fact, she wanted to date me, and I'm like, I wanted nothing to do with this girl. I also had a girlfriend up in Canada at the time, so um, God forbid I was loyal to a girl, 1,000 miles away, about 800 miles away. But yeah, I was loyal to a girl 800 miles away. It's before my wife. My wife loves these stories because my friends tell them. This girl wanted to date your husband, and he said to her, and she was, you know, very very prim and proper, very. She'd be a great, arm candy, kind of great. And I'm like, I want nothing to do with you. You're toxic. I didn't say you're toxic. I said I don't think I could handle you because I don't. I think you get bored with me pretty quickly because nice guys like me, girls like you, chew them up and spit them out. And she got so mad at me because I said your history. You did, you're not ready for a guy like me, and I'm just too nice. And by saying that was a really mean thing to do, but I did that a lot though. I used to tell people off a lot because I'm kind of blunt. I had fun doing it, which is toxic. I am I admit I am toxic because I do know how to push buttons with people who I think deserve it. Um, kind, nice people, I have no problem. But when I see that they need a wake up call, I will push their buttons and I'll push them hard.
Yeah, I can see that when they need a wake up call. I kind of do the same thing. It's like they're living in fantasy land and not reality. It's like, all right, got to slap you in the face real quick and bring you back to reality so you know what in the hell is going on.
And that is a compassionate act. It's just there's a balance there. Again, another
Mm-hmm.
balance where you've got to enlighten them of the situation, but not be so blunt that they won't listen. Because again, the words might just come on deaf ears if you don't say it in the right way. Um, it is tough. It is tough, and guys tend to be a lot easier to deal with than women. There was once where I gave a reading for a friend of mine, his girlfriend, and the reading indicated that you're in the wrong relationship. And this is my close friend. and of course the cards are like, say it flat out, and I'm being very saying you have to work on yourself and help, and so your relationship will be better, on and on, and I'm talking to him, and then um, card reading done, everything's fine, good. My friend, who is guy, not a clue. He thought it was the greatest thing that because my friend was using me as kind of like to help, impress his girlfriend, sort of thing. And after a couple weeks, with me, it was just with me and my friend, and I said to him, "Yeah, she's kind of, let's call her Roberta, because I don't know any Robertas." So I was saying, Roberta is kind of, she's got a lot of baggage in her, so I would be careful. And he goes, "Yeah, I know, but I think I'm the right guy to help her out." I'm like, "Yeah, just be careful because sometimes the right guy is not the right guy right now." And he paused and said, "Yeah, thank you. Maybe I should be calmer and just let things go for a while." It was, and it worked. And again, they ended up going to a wedding together. This is horrible. And on the way back from the wedding, she broke up with him. And he called me right away afterwards saying that this girl is so cruel. She used me to get a free meal. And I'm like, no, she basically knew there was an obligation to be your date to the wedding. She didn't want to leave you high and dry. And for him, he was offended that she would break up with him on the way back from the wedding and wouldn't do it before the wedding. And I'm just, no, no, she didn't, because she knew you were, she didn't want to leave you go to the wedding alone. So she was actually being kind. But I think I woke him up and he thanked me because he was livid because she broke up with him on the way back from the wedding. That was a funny story. That was actually one of my favorite stories because he was so mad that he couldn't see the truth, and I showed him that no, the truth is she was actually being nice. And although maybe you would rather not go to the wedding with someone who didn't want to continue this, at least you had a date for it. And again, she's beautiful, eye candy sort of girl. So, it wasn't, there was nothing, you know, I mean, she knew how to dress up. She knew how to impress people. She knew how to talk, but she did have her own baggage. And, he didn't deserve her because she was messed up. And I did have no idea till I did the car reading that how messed up she was. But again, here and there, I did a lot of the card readings I did were for messed up people. I drew them. Whenever I did card readings, I drew them, and that's the problem. Is that I learned that free card readings are in itself a trap in themselves because if you're doing a free card reading, the universe doesn't allow a gap. So you're going to get paid back in some way or another, whether it's taking some of their energy or the universe helping you out or something like that. But again, that's one of my guides told me that I understand you want to be altruistic, you want to help people out, these card readings, but you got to accept at least $1 bill. Accept something because you're taking their energy away. I'm like, no, I'm not. And the guides are like, yes, you are. It's part of your gift that you can absorb people's energy. And I had no idea of this. And that's what my guides, you know, because if I did a reading and they gave me $1, I felt wiped. I felt completely wiped from doing the reading. But if I didn't, if they didn't give me any money, it was just a free reading. I felt energized, and that was one of the things when I realized I'm sapping energy from people because again, a free reading, you get paid in some way or another.
Yeah.
Um, that's toxic. That's when I was toxic, and I admit I was being an energy vampire when I never intended to be that way.
And it happens sometimes. There
Which
are
again, and then blocking. I did not block myself in the right way. So if I had blocked myself, if I had protected myself in the right way, I could not have taken their energy away.
correct.
But we all learn.
Yeah. Witchy says patterns can run deep. Well, hopefully, here in within the next couple of weeks, we'll be getting into patterns.
Sure.
and you know, I think they're the same patterns, cycles. It's a pattern. What's pattern? Something that just keeps repeating. Same thing with the cycle, and we have many of those in our lives.
Yeah, that is a good subject. That is a really good subject to talk about because yeah, I mean moths. Um, I see the moths and I get freaked out. I mean, uh, patterns. We get ourselves into them doing the readings. I mean, that girl kept coming back to me for the readings, and I was doing it because thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was being nice, and it just a lot of trouble. I mean, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that's the truth. Doing card readings can be a lot of trouble, but again, the card's only a tool. They're I'm doing the reading. Energy comes from me, but the cards are a great show.
Yep.
Honestly, the cards are just if you want to be a psychic, even if you're a tarot reader, the cards are yours. I mean, that's another thing is that when people do card readings, they have those books. They read the books, the book with the book meaning. They really don't need it because the cards showing you what the meaning is just by looking at it, and you can feel the meaning. But sometimes it's easy to rely on the book, crutches. But again, card reading is a wonderful, beautiful thing if done right, and I did it wrong so many times.
Yeah. So healing toxic people, and it keeps happening. So
Yeah,
there's a pattern there. So now go back to the first time it happened and think about, all right, what did I do to draw that pattern into my reality?
yeah.
Because there's a pattern somewhere if it keeps happening. Because I know I've helped a lot of toxic people. So I need to look at when did it first start, how did that pattern start, and what caused that pattern to keep coming back to me.
That is a great point because the first time they're drawn to you, that is there's a reason for that, and you have to figure that out because we can blame the toxic people all we want, but they came into our life for a reason, and our job is to figure out that reason so we can heal ourselves. Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, but it all starts with that very first one.
No, exactly. That's exactly the thing. The first one is the key because yes, they keep coming
Hmm.
back to you, and again, you can get frustrated with all the third, fourth time, but it's the first time that matters because they came into your life the first time, and that's the trigger. And you're right. You need to hunker down and figure out the first time they were drawn to you, the first time, hell, you were drawn to them, your connection, the first time the connection was made, there's a clue there, and you have to that's yours. Right, yeah, because after that, after the first time, that's all going to be shade, shadow. It's going to be shade. It's not going to be the truth. The first time, that's what the truth is. Might give you hints, but even the second and third time, the hints are going to be off a bit. The
Yeah.
first time is where all the solution is. Ooh,
So if you could go back to when that first happened and then somehow figure a way to make it not happen to where you don't help them because you know they're toxic, did that ripple through all the other ones that it didn't draw them toxic people to you?
mm,
So it could all been like if you didn't do it that very first time, you
yeah.
may not have drawn them other toxic people into your life. But
Oh,
the
yeah.
universe knowing that you did that and helped them, now it's kind of sending toxic people your way to help them heal. Just a
Interesting.
thought.
Interesting. So you're saying the one toxic one toxic people, one toxic person might draw a group of toxic people, and you got to figure
Correct.
out
It,
where
energy
what
wise. Yep.
right. You got to figure out what the source of the toxic. It's kind of like, wow, I never thought of it that way. You got to
Yeah.
figure out what
So
the source of all these toxic people.
if you never helped that first person, would you still draw the rest of that toxicity towards you?
Hmm, that's a tough one. Yeah, that there's a lot to that, and I don't sure if you didn't help the first person, or yeah, that there might be something to that where hmm, it might not
It
be
could.
that you help, maybe how you help them, because maybe the way you help them is the part of it. I don't know.
So let's just say you're going down your path
Yeah,
and you help that first person. Well, then all of a sudden, because you help that first person, that toxicity, it puts you on this branch right here instead of going straight the way you were going.
right, right. But then you have to figure out how you well, if the toxic person comes into your life in some way or fashion, how do you not help them when they come into your life? So they're in your life for a reason. Hmm. But how do you not help them? Oof.
So now the thought that just came to my head. So let's just say in another reality or an alternate timeline for right now, in that other timeline, you didn't help that first person and you didn't help any of the other people. So what is that you experiencing at this time?
Ooh. Now you've got something. Now you've got something where I one of my coping things is to go back to traumatic situations and to imagine the situation resolving in a positive way. And that's one of my coping, which was a psychologist, no, a therapist, the rapist. A therapist was telling me how to do that. Where he was a holistic guy. He got me off of pharmaceuticals about 10 years ago and got me onto walking and exercising and eating better and taking vitamins. Um, but he was about you're not taking away your past. You're just making a parallel past. You still have that situation that made you who you are. You've learned, you've grown from that. Now go back and imagine the situation in a much more positive light. It resolved in a positive way, because you're not changing the past. You're just making a story that you can think about, because our brains we can make up our own stories, and it's tough. So now with that, I would go back and think of the time where the toxic person who brought me on the group of toxic people, to go back in a way and saying, I can't help you in a way that's compassionate, and go back on that thing. So that way I am not helping that toxic person, and maybe in myself figure out what in it I needed to learn and grow in myself to put myself back on the right path away from the toxic. Wow. We're talking about this is all our ideas and everything. So if anyone disagrees, the comment section is right there. The chat section is right there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Wiki Trista. Thank you for being here, and thank you, Karen Silky, um, and Chloe, and everyone. I can't, who's here? Who's here? Participants. Okay, Wiki Trista and Karen Silky and okay, Chloe. Thank you all for being here.
Yeah. In the book, Reiki Essential, it talks about Reiki, teaches Reiki and all that, but they were telling a story about a person that suffered from depression.
Hmm.
So they went back in this life to when it first started. And then after that, they started going into past lives, the most recent life, and
Oh,
kept going and kept going and kept going, and found out where the first time that this person was basically in debt, poor, and got depressed and committed suicide.
ooh,
So they went back using, like Teresa says, this person's imagination and created a different reality in that timeline that even though he was broke at the time, he ended up being the mayor of the city. He was rich. And then when they started going back through the past lives, they noticed all of that depression was healed. And when
oh,
they got back to this life, the person wasn't depressed anymore because they went back to where it originally started back in one of his past lives. And with the imagination of the person, they healed that, created a new reality,
hmm hmm
and that new reality continued through the rest of his lives to where now he doesn't suffer from depression anymore.
hmm, interesting. So, the Reiki practitioner healed his past lives, or he healed his own past lives?
I'm sure he healed his own past lives. You can do it all in your like Trina says, you can do it all in your imagination. Even when you're helping someone heal now, you can have them do it all in their imagination. They don't have to tell you a single word. They can all do it right there, and you can just sit there and talk them through it. Just let me
Yeah.
know when you're finished with what you're doing, and then we'll move on.
So,
So you teach him. That's what we should be teaching the toxic people is how to use their imagination to help themselves.
I agree. The imagination is a powerful thing, and I agree. I agree 100% there. I use it all the time in things I don't even talk about. So many things. But with that, so did he find his own past lives? I mean, how did he get his past lives?
The Reiki master took him through his past lives.
There you go. Okay, okay, okay.
So,
I didn't know it was possible. Okay, I don't know anything
yeah,
about Reiki.
guided him through the past lives and figured out when he was depressed, then, okay, let's see if it happened in the life before. It did. So let's see if it happened. And they kept going until they found the source of when it first happened. And then once you healed that and created a new reality at that time, it cycled down through the rest of his lives moving forward that he didn't suffer from the depression. And then his life was better and went on a different path because he wasn't suffering from depression. So it
In,
actually probably set him on the path, his true path of what he needed instead of this cycle or pattern of depression coming in every single time and stopping his progress.
interesting, interesting. Wow, that's interesting. That and is that separate from the Akashic records, or does Reiki and Akashic records relate, or are those two separate things entirely?
They're two separate things entirely,
Okay.
but when you get to that Reiki master level, it's your frequency which allows you to gain access to those uh, Akashic records.
Well, I can understand that, but hmm, I think it's yeah. Hmm, that's interesting because I can see that you go back 5 lives, you heal the life from 5 years, five lifetimes ago, and it helps improve all the lives, all the four into the current. That's interesting.
Right, because you're not having to repeat because
Right.
what I'm saying, you didn't learn your lesson in that first lifetime how to cope. So we're gonna keep making you do that until you figure out how to get over that.
See, because that makes a lot of sense. Because I know that I can talk to myself in my parallel lives. I've done that, and if that goes back, it's like a what is it when connect the dots. It's to connect the dots where you go back to the life five. Let's go five. Five is an easy number. Five lifetimes ago, and from that dot, you go to the dot that was much more successful, and you don't go to the dot that was least successful, and you connect all those dots to now. Those lives still exist. You're still in your Akashic record, but you just connected yourselves to the most positive lives to bring now in the most positive light to get you in the right footing. That's great
Hmm.
because you're not taking away any life. These are all our lives. We're just connected to the past lives, and that's one of my problems with past life regression because you're looking at one of them, but they're the ones that most influential. This actually puts more into a those are the most influential lives, past lives on you right now. Wow, that
Uh,
actually that says a lot. There's a lot to this.
yeah, the two regressions that I've done, we worked through, I think, a minimum of four. I think there was one time we worked through five past lives.
Mm,
And that's when I learned about cycles with people and not good cycles to where you got, and then once you find out that cycle and now you're aware of it in this lifetime, you have a conscious saying, okay, now I need to break this pattern. I need to break this cycle of us, whatever it is. And it keep happening over and over again because now you have a conscious awareness that this is a pattern in this relationship that you have with this person.
this is huge, and that's what.
That's why I
Hmm,
like to get into the pattern thing
I
because,
know. See,
everything's patterns.
that's definitely our next show because this cycle thing in patterns. That's going to be a big show, and we can't start that now because
Right. Oh, yeah. That's a,
that might be a two-part show in of itself because we're going to start it. But again, what we find from this is going to be I can feel that this is going to be a big thing. I don't know how I'm going to title it, but again, it doesn't matter. That's again, I don't know how I'm going to title it. It'll come to me. It doesn't matter. Half the time, I just come up with off the top of my head, and I just start writing them and say, "How does that look?" That looks like crap, but those words are okay. That's a good thing about YouTube. It'll tell you, yeah, that's okay. Title. It could be better, and then you keep playing with the words to see how they look. But wow, yeah, cycles and patterns. That's definitely going to be our next show, because there's a lot to it. That's going to be a good show. This is a good title. The one I have right now. I don't even know what the title of this show is. Half the time I just make the title up and go, okay, here's a paragraph that I can just make up from it and we can go from there. Then I asked Chat GPT, hey Chat GPT, can you write us to make it look good? Because what I wrote doesn't make any sense. I don't want Chat GPT to write up my script, but I want it to what I've written make it make sense because I can write a lot. And I only enjoy ChatGPT to make it look nice grammatically, you know, flow wise and everything, which does great job. But it'll also write it for you, which I think is a bad precedent. I don't want to talk negative about ChatGPT. Thank you, computers. Thank you, AI, for all you've done for me. But I want to work with you. I don't want you to take the lead. I want to take the lead. But that's just me. Others to do what they want. I want to do what I want. But that's cool. I just had to say that because I see so many people letting Chat GPT write everything for them, and it's garbage because there's no passion, there's no compassion, there's no energy there. So you got to take it and make it your own. But again, need to hear. Maybe that's part of the pattern. Could AI be part of the pattern? Okay, I don't want to do that. No, look,
yeah.
that's for next. Yes, this would be a great show in of itself because there's a lot to this.
Yes, there is.
Whew. So toxic people in our lives, and the best thing we can do is heal ourselves and figure out what brought them into our lives and what brought us to want to heal them. and it involves us. Goes back to us. It's not a blame game. It's more of a we need to heal ourselves first.
Now, and it could be that uh, the first toxic person or all of them could have been from past lives. Toxic people that, and there again, there's the pattern right there. The same toxic people keep showing up lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. It could be, I don't know.
Oh, I agree. I do know that people from our past lives come into our lives and out of our lives. And sometimes they leave our lives in the weirdest way possible. And even though we think we've got a great relationship, we have a toxic person in our life, we work our way through it, we have a good, friendly relationship, and then eventually the connection goes away. And the weird thing is that they're better, you're better, but the relationship ends, and sometimes that hurts. That's hard, you know. I we got such
Hmm.
a great relationship in this. We're no longer friends anymore, or no longer married anymore. People come in our lives and out of our lives, and sometimes we're done. This life is over, and situations separate us, and it's hard not to judge ourselves or judge others. But in the end, the only person we have is ourselves.
Hmm. Yep. That's
Mm.
why they did the show last night on Andromeda 7. It was all about relationships.
Oh yeah, yep, yep. That was interesting. That's for sure. Whew.
But like you said, the greatest relationship is the one that you can have with yourself.
Yes, that is true. And uh, sometimes that can be an argument in itself, but as long as you have a good, healthy argument with yourself, you're better off for it. All right, it's now, well, yeah, we're at
Wow.
72 minutes. Yes.
I guess Robert broke down on the road.
Oh, really?
Yep, it's fixed now. I wonder if he's going to have a show tonight.
Oh, wow. Sorry, Robert. I didn't know. Wow. Stranded in Minnesota. Oh, wait. Ooh. Well, good luck.
Yeah, be safe driving.
Definitely. Drive safely. There's no reason to rush. Oh, you have a recording. Oh, you're all set then. And you're all set, Robert.
Yep,
Oh, look at Robert. Look, there's Nina's shirt. Look, look at me, Robert. This is one of Nina Beyond Belief with Robert and Nina, their Sunday show. I
yep,
just I'm representing.
yep. Trina got
I
me.
love
Yeah,
what?
Trina got me this
Yeah.
2 Christmases ago. That says if Richards can't fix it, we're all screwed.
Yeah. Well, that's trouble.
Yeah. Well, if it comes to a home, I can do about anything on a home.
Yeah. I learned that it is not hard to change out the fuel filter from the home heating oil filter. It is really easy because last time I had them do it, it cost me like $120, and the part cost $7. So I end up looking up how to do it, and I'm like, wait, this is simple. It's one bolt. It's one bolt and a
Hmm.
bleed valve. It's like it's yeah. There's a bolt and a screw, and they both have gaskets. It is so easy, right? It's so easy to do, and I did it myself because my I don't need it now because it's going to get warm, but it kept turning off, and I didn't want to turn off when I'm not home when at work. My wife, my son freeze or something like that. So I was going to call to have them do it for me. Then I'm like, wait, I know where it is. How much does it cost? It costs $7, and I actually got three for $12, but I only bought one because again I wanted it now to get it done with. But again, sometimes fixing your and that's the biggest thing. Doing your own home repairs is a great feeling. You're not only saving money, but you're also, proving to yourself that you can do it.
Correct.
But I don't advise everyone do it because you should probably know what you're doing first. I knew what I was up to. I knew how to close the valve to the heating line. I also knew how to slowly turn the screw just in case the valve wasn't completely closed and not having oil all over the floor. That would have been trouble. But
Well,
again, it's easy to do if you pay attention.
yeah, I've been in construction all my life. New home construction, remodeling, roofing, and both aspects, commercial and residential. So
Mm,
I've never, ever, ever worried about getting a job because someone always needs a house built, and someone always needs repairs done.
that's the forever job. Was that green job that you always have something? You'll always have work.
Well, there's more kids now going to trade schools than college because they're coming out, they're not in debt,
Hmm.
they're getting a job making probably starting out anywhere from 50 to 60,000 a year,
Absolutely, yeah.
and then they're starting their life off better than someone that did 4 years of college and has a $200,000 loan.
And even then, you come out of college that what you spent 4 years or 5 years doing might not have a job in 4 or 5 years. The way that our current economy is, who knows what's going to be the big thing in tech in 4 or 5 years? But there's always going to be construction. There's always going to be plumbing. There's always going to be electrical work that needs to be done. Computer programming, which unfortunately my son does. AI is doing it itself. AI doesn't need us, but we need people who can know how to build shit and build
Yep.
computers. AI can computers robots can only build so much, but cars. God forbid my car is, I don't know, 14 years old. Love it. When my friend who has his car, the dashboard shut off, and he thought it was a fuse. It wasn't a fuse. It was the module inside the dashboard. And you don't change the module. You got to change the whole dashboard out and then reprogram it uh, for your car and tell it what the odometer is. And that's a big job. So it's he was decided whether it would be worth it to fix his car or to buy a used car. And the way his car wasn't that old, it just shut down. It turns out it was supported by the warranty, but I mean it was close. And so if you get an older car, you don't have to worry about those computer modules. But all these new cars, they're all computer modules. Hmm, I don't
The
want that.
way dashboards are nowadays, you're looking at just minimum 14 hours in labor
Oh,
to
absolutely, yes,
pull
yes.
one out and put one back in.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. So yeah, and it was covered by the warranty because it was just in though. I mean, literally, I think he said it was like 8 months before he was out of warranty, and of course the dealership was kind of was given a runaround. So he just called the company that makes it, whatever not the dealership, but whatever the
The
main office,
factory.
and yeah, and they were very much like, now is covered under warranty, and they were like, they still try to charge him something, and you're like, no, it's all covered under warranty, and uh, that's dealerships. That's where they make the money. Not so much selling the cars, it's getting the cars repaired now. It's expensive, but again,
Hmm.
be careful out there because people are going to try to take advantage of you because especially dealerships, they're corporations to make money, not to help people.
Yeah, my mom needed a new radiator and was at the dealership, and they wanted I think it was $1,600. I was like,
Oof.
take it to my mechanic. Did it for like $779.
Yep. Yep.
So less or over half.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The dealerships will really they'll because you're having an expert, a trained, certified expert. You don't need a for expert. If they can do a car, that's the thing is that not a mechanic. I just go to my local mechanic. If they can't do it, then they'll find someone who can. But the dealership, it's not the thing. But neither here nor there. Just be careful out there, everyone.
Yep.
Yep. So, all right, Robert. In another, I don't know even know what time is.
For
Another 40 minutes. We have Milky Way Soul Tribe there. His show on the Book of Ra. I don't even remember the name of the book.
law
Um,
one.
the Law of One. Yes, yes, because Ra is the Law of One. And also in 40 minutes is Truth Wave with Victor and his meditations. So whatever you're doing, go out there. And tomorrow, Nina and Robert are going to have their show. So I don't know what it's about, by boat aliens or something. But again, uh, go out there, uh, be good to each other, and take care of yourself. Actually, yeah, before you take care of everyone else, take care of yourself first.
Yep.
But yeah, what's next, everyone?